All right, that beautiful full moon is about to eclipse, and I am here with you to share the moment and share the energy. For all of those people saying, oh, don't put water out tonight, they're foolish. It's Wesak. It is the Buddhist festival of Wesak, and this is a very special full moon. It's not a closed practice. It's very fine. This moon has a lot of positive aspects to it. It is going to be gnarly out in the rest of the world. We've been watching that build, but that's bringing situations to light, right? On an individual level, there's amazing support on this moon. So rest assured, there's better days ahead. I'm actually very excited about this full moon. I feel bubbly and I feel energy brewing inside. And I had a wonderful facial today, so thus no makeup because my skin just feels so good. It's a really cool facial process because it's using more natural products instead of doing like a chemical peel. So this is actually really good energy if you choose to tap into that. One of the reasons that fear is used is to diminish our own individual power. And so if you can tune towards what you prefer, then you can really make the most of some of the really great energy that is coming in with this full moon. Yeah, I feel really excited too. It's just bubbling in me. I haven't felt this buoyant in a while. Oh, thank you. That's a beautiful star. Thank you. Yeah, I feel that way. It's just, whew. Remember, we had we had the new moon in Scorpio back in November, and if you set intentions around them, these are coming to fruition in this full moon. And it's not just because it's an eclipse. That's how it happens. Moons come in pairs, new and full. And so it takes about 6 months for some intentions to be met. Some can be done in 2 weeks. Most people want everything like this. Sometimes it happens like this if you allow it in. And sometimes things take longer. And so this full moon is a very powerful full moon. Hello and welcome. We're talking about the eclipse. It's starting to come. It's building. We're almost there. It's very exciting. So, again, what you see in the outer world, in the mass consciousness, which we are all part of, it's easy to point fingers at Matt and go, oh my God, mass consciousness. Oh my God. Well, we're all part of it. But we can influence it as well. Okay. We can influence it as well. And so one of the ways we can do that is working on ourselves, choosing to get to at least a neutral space. You don't have to be giddy. You don't have to be feeling this the way I do. I'm feeling it very physically because this moon is happening in my first house, the house of self, the house of my physical self. And I just find it delightful that, I schedule my facials ahead and I schedule them for my Sunday, which is one of the days off I take a week. And it just so happened it fell on this day, so that was some self-care on the appearance. And it was wonderful. That's why no makeup, because I'm not going to sully my skin after such a lovely experience. So yeah. So let me take a look. I've been live. You've missed me. I've been going on at different times. How can we make this full moon eclipse work for us in a good way? Well, I talked about this a little bit on my podcast, so feel free to go listen to that as well, because the energy rings out over time. It doesn't just happen right at the minute that it's happening. People don't understand, energy. The way I described it today when I was teaching is imagine, you throw a pebble in a pond and the ripples go out, or you have you set a tone and the sound waves go out. The same with transits. And so it depends on your individual. It depends on your individual chart. And again, that's why I said go listen to my podcast, because I talk a little bit about it there. Patrons have access to the behind the scenes where I went through things. That's all in Patreon. All of this is linked in my bio. It just depends. We can't give pat answers. But the biggest thing I can say is if you're holding on to stories that limit you, If you're holding on to the secrets and worried about them being revealed, you're allowing other people to have power over you instead of accepting yourself, being kind to yourself, being gentle to yourself. There's lots of different ways we can release energy blocks. And some of our biggest energy blocks are thought blocks, because we've all been indoctrinated by culture, society, through the media, through school, through, generations of beliefs. It's not just the people, who raised you's fault. It goes way back. And so, just kind of noticing where we need to be kinder to ourselves, where we need to understand, we are all born, we all exit, and life happens in between. There's really no getting it wrong, okay? That insistence on being a paragon or being perfect or being righteous or being virtuous, that can hold us back. It's so important when we look at this moon to be kind to ourselves and tend to ourselves. We have Mars and Neptune and Pisces trining this moon. That's a lot of spiritual support if you choose to access it from there. The basement level, that's religious zealotry, that's all kinds of strong, hardcore beliefs that aren't useful or serve us at all. But at the higher levels of the energies, that's tapping into your guidance, that's listening to your inner wisdom, that's listening to your inner being, that's listening to, for your soul, that's listening to your spirit guides. And, they're all you. We're all part of the all that is. We're all made up of the same quarks and neutrinos and gluons and particles, and yet we are formed as individuals as well, and both are true at the same time. So we are part of all, and we are an individual all at the same time. So recognizing that is really, really important. So all of that is what's happening. So if you really want to take this and take it for a good bounce, and grab your board and surf it, you want to tune in and look at what you can allow in, reap the harvest, let go. And if it's emotional, it's emotional. And emotions aren't bad. Crying isn't bad. Feelings aren't bad. Grief isn't bad. You only grieve as deep as you love. Okay? And when you can look at it that way, it's powerful. It is powerful and it is beautiful. Okay? Oh. So it depends. Everybody's going to have a different experience. I always liken transit experiences. They're never universal. In fact, it's not universal for every Scorpio or every Taurus or every person who's having their nodal return. Everyone's going to have a different experience because everybody has a different chart. Okay? There's no one way to do this energy. There's a spectrum. Okay? And so when you can tune in and get still and just allow a little bit more in, a little more gentleness. Scorpio is about transcendence. It's resilient, and resiliency isn't strong. Resilience is the ability to bounce back in adverse circumstances. Okay? I know because I actually studied with the founding researcher of resiliency, H. Stephen Glenn, PhD. He was one of my mentors in life because I've studied a whole lot more than astrology is my touchstone. But I've studied so many other things to make me a better astrologer, to explain the human condition, to help people come into themselves and really be authentically themselves and kind of unpack that social and cultural conditioning that's been imposed on us to restrict us from being that self. I'm going to say, as we move forward, fly that freak flag. That need to conform has robbed us of a richness and robbed us of a depth of expression. And this moon helps us open into that. So Scorpio energy is the phoenix rising, and you don't always have to burn it to the ground to rise. You don't have to rise from the ashes, okay? Trust me, I'm a Scorpio rising, and I used to be very good at burning it to the ground and coming back up, and burning it to the ground and coming back up. It's exhausting to do it that way. And so when we can tap into even just an inkling of some of the higher expressions of that energy, the easier it can be letting go of needing to have full control over something, right? I have some projects I'm working on, and some won't be done until, probably several years from now. I usually if I set a goal, I'll be like, oh, in 5 years, it'll be like 2 or 3. But I don't know how all of it's going to happen. When I was younger, that drove me nuts. I needed to know every little detail. Now I just know I need to be clear about the what and the why. And the how will come in the clearer I am. So gaining clarity, you can ask for a release of confusion. You can ask for, and this is asking yourself or asking your guides, a release of confusion, a release of the fog, a release of the fear, okay? The worry, the doubt, because worry robs us. I talked about that on the podcast not long ago. Worry robs us. I understand that very well too, because I'm a Cancer Sun, Cancer Mercury. Trust me, worry. Oh no. It took a lot of time and energy, and it robs us of our present moment, which, our brain only really recognizes the present unless we keep a story alive that keeps the past alive. But really, the brain doesn't know any different. When you look up some articles on that, go Google that on neuroscience. They've done studies on that. The brain only knows the present. So learning to be present. And it's a practice. It's something we have to practice our whole lives. You're not always going to be good at it every single time. My great-grandmother used to say, don't borrow trouble. If I was worrying about things like what it'll be like when I grow up, what are things going to be like? She'd be like, don't borrow trouble. Just enjoy right now. She had it down. She was like, don't worry, enough is going to happen. So those are all things. So yeah. Beautiful. I love that. You've been feeling anxious and it released. Now you're calm. Pluto isn't a financial sign. It depends on where those Plutos are placed. Pluto is generational and not, this isn't activating every Pluto. This is not. Just because a planet or a luminary is in a sign doesn't mean it's activating. It'll activate it by proximity. It would be nice to have that, but we can set those intentions, can't we? Just wishing for it is not as useful as reaching out to your representatives and your senators. If people reach out to their elected officials en masse, you're more likely to have some movement. Does it guarantee it? No. But it's more likely. So, yeah. I give my market predictions in every lunar horoscope, which I do several times a week as the moon changes signs. Frankly, I don't think the markets are going to be in good shape for the next several years. And interest rates is not going to help inflation because it's not consumer spending that's causing inflation. It's profiteering that's causing inflation. So, yeah. So, I don't think crypto's gone at all. I don't think it's gone at all. I think people don't understand how markets work. Markets are always traded emotionally. I don't think crypto's gone at all. It's crashed before. It's in a correction. I think people overhyped it, and I think people didn't know what they were doing. And frankly, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm not a financial advisor, but my first husband was a stockbroker and a good one. Never put anything in you can't afford to lose into any investment, So, yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I am too. I don't have that much in there, but it's not like a big chunk, but I'm just I'm just leaving it alone right now. So yeah, I don't think crypto is going anywhere. So no, I think we have a lot of bigger fish to fly. So no, I'm not. Now would be a dumb time to sell anything I've got in there. Just leave it alone. But I don't have a lot in either. So, obviously if somebody needed liquid assets, that's a different story. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. I make predictions just to see what my accuracy rate is. And they've been pretty accurate. So I continue to give financial forecasts in with the horoscopes that I send. Is that an Yvette? Twinsy! Yeah! Hey, Twinsy! Yvette Douglas is my birthday twin and a very amazing energy worker as well. Mwah, I love you, Twinsy. Happy Wesak. I love Wesak. This is like my favorite full moon of the year. So Wesak is the Buddhist celebration that it's a really beautiful, beautiful celebration. So I love this full moon. Do I have insight for someone looking to buy a home? It would depend on your chart, honey. Every chart is different. So that's something I would look at in like an astro energies reading. It's actually unethical to give that advice without on anything, especially decision making, without seeing a chart, because everybody's astrology chart is different. So yeah. So I think, honestly, commercial real estate gets hit this summer first, and I think the housing market gets hit later. So, but that's just my predictions. So I would speak with a real estate expert. The type of astrology I do, I'm an actual astrologer. I'm not a popular astrologer, as in I do real astrology. I do Western tropical astrology, and sun signs aren't enough, right? So it depends on risings, etc. I'm going to let the mods handle all the questions from here on out, and I'm going to focus on what's actually important with this eclipse and full moon. So with this eclipse and full moon, there is a lot of support. There is a trine from Mars and Neptune. There is a sextile to the sun. If you have any placements, in your chart, if you have any placements in aspect or within orb of any of that going on, that's very supportive energy. It's very supportive energy. Okay. Sorry, fixed signs. You're getting massaged and getting ready for Pluto in Aquarius. And the cardinal signs are all going, yeah, move along. It's somebody else's turn. I happen to have a balanced chart, so I get hit no matter what's happening. But I laugh because I currently have Pluto opposite my sun and my moon. And you can ride that energy. People need to stop attributing power to outside of themselves. You can hit the surfboard and ride the waves. Okay. Right. So, but yeah. So I've got a lot of all of it. That's all I have to say. So you guys get it, but you're getting ready. You're getting ready. Hey, Ben. I don't like the dominant thing. That's a new term. It's not my favorite. Because we don't balance, the whole rating scale on charts is such a mental thing and is over intellectualized. Astrology is to be applied. Okay, it's not, people over intellectualize things, and you want to blend that energy. So, and fixed isn't adverse to change. Most of the fixed signs actually have a lot to do with change. So they anchor change or cause it, depending, Aquarius, hello. So Scorpio, hello. Aquarius and Scorpio are like change riddled. Okay. And actually, the times you suffer as a Scorpio or an Aquarius is when you do resist the change, because you're designed to either cause change or constantly transform. So, yeah. There's a lot going on with this stuff. This eclipse, it brings some good stuff. Now, again, on a mundane level, this brings some shit. Not gonna lie. The media is gonna be running on things that cause people to be angry and afraid. And I'm not gonna lie, there'll be really good reasons to be. But if it's not directly in here, or you're not able to take direct action, find ways to act. Find ways to channel the energy. So like last week or so, whenever, I think it was 2 weeks ago, it was around the new moon. It was the week of that new moon. So when that Supreme Court leak came out, one of my mods, Jen, who's Moocat here, she channeled her rage, because she lives in a red state. She channeled her rage into rearranging the Discord server so we could allow non-patrons in and still have patron-only content. And that's how she did it. She was like, all right. And then she found links to organizations people could look up information on. That was a great way to channel that energy. Be productive, be proactive with that energy instead of scattering it out. They want us to scatter our energy. They want us to feel disempowered. They want that anger to be just kind of used impotently. And that's not useful for us. We want to connect, build community, find out how to support one another, communicate, collaborate, and play. And this is all prep for Pluto in Aquarius. It's all prep. The ground is being laid. Okay? And each of us individually contributes to the collective. So if we could tweak our own consciousness, that tips the balance more in our favor. If we're constantly looking for somebody else to do it, or we decide we're just going to give up or be apathetic or all of that, that's disempowerment. And then we don't make the changes we want to see in the world. Now, the age of the chosen one is over. Okay, looking to be the next great speaker or the next no. Small, deliberate acts. Okay, working with other people, small deliberate acts. Stop looking for getting the credit. Okay, small deliberate acts, empowering those who are taking action. That's so important right now. And this eclipse helps open this up. There is a T-square to the Saturn in Aquarius. It does a couple of things. We're going to see the authorities that represented by Capricorn they're kind of depleted right now, okay? And so, but they're still going to try to strike back, but at the same time, this unrestricts the populace, okay? So I think we're going to see some very, very interesting things happen this week. And yeah, there's going to be things caused to, get some outrage going, but outrage does nothing if there's no decisive action to it, okay? And so that's why we have tons and tons and tons of information about like how to run for office, how to organize getting voters, register new voters, community activism links to organizations that already exist. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I've been an active participant in life and civics most of my life. And I know better than that. I know there's other groups out there who've been doing the good work that don't get press. Okay, people are wondering, well, why haven't I heard of them then? Because the media doesn't talk about them. Why? Who owns the media? Like 5 companies, right? So we've got these things linked up. So even if you're not in our Patreon, that's fine. We want people to get to know one another. Super duper important. I can't emphasize how super duper important it is. You know, you got to communicate, collaborate, and play. And that means let go of those beliefs that are holding you back. That idea that you're not big enough, you're not strong enough, you're not loud enough, you're not capable enough, you're not, you know, you're too weak, you're too small. You're not. You're not. And especially not if you can lockstep with people who are like-hearted, you know, and learn and listen. Don't just repeat everything everybody else is saying, but learn to listen. Listen to people. It's really important. There are people who've been working, knowing these things, and, you know, there's more than one issue up, right? Right? Oh, I'm so glad it helped. Yeah. Oh, hey, welcome. Welcome. I love meeting everybody. We got Coffee with Lori the last Sunday of the month, and that's on Zoom. I usually am rolling out of bed. One of the reasons with Coffee with Lori, I'm rolling out of bed. I got my coffee, and you guys can ask me questions. I can teach in my sleep. It's a really crazy thing. Venus and Gemini. But yeah. So, and it's a time to get to know other people too. So we'll be doing some more group stuff in the Patreon as I get free, but we'll be bringing people together. We're going to have some game nights. It's going to be fun. Yeah. So remember, this full moon happens at 25 degrees. That means we'll have the moon in Scorpio for about 10 more hours, and then it ingresses into Sagittarius. So expect tomorrow to be a little spicy, a little clapbacky. I have Mars in Sag. I always dig when the moon is in Sagittarius because it energizes my Mars. So, and tonight you can just set some intentions before you go to bed. You could write things down. Just be open to receiving. You know, you don't have to be good. You don't have to have proved yourself. You don't have to prove anything. You know, you don't have to be really, really good to get what you want. You know how we will beg with the universe, you know, bargain. Please, 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 I'll be really good. You're holding your hands. You can't catch anything. I did a video on Epsom salt baths, which is a great way of clearing energy blocks. You know, and an energy block can be like just holding tension in your body, like just getting in, you know, and if you don't have a tub, a shower, you know, you could use an Epsom salt body scrub as long as you're being intentional. Doesn't really matter. It's about loving and tending to yourself and allowing the tension to ease out of the body, because when we release tension, we are in a receptive state. Okay, when we're tense, we can't bring anything in, and a full moon is always the fruition. Now, again, the eclipse kind of sucks if you're a world leader. We're going to see some stuff go down with world leaders. We're going to see some weather. We're going to see, we'll see some stuff. We might see some maritime incidences, things like that in the wider world. Okay, but on the interior life, which honestly, that's what I care about the most. I give predictions to get people's attention because then you can see I'm accurate. But it's literally just to get your attention. Because if I can teach you how to connect to you, to know you are valuable, to be kind to yourself, to be gentle with yourself, to see your value, then I am doing my job. And if it takes predictions to get your attention, it's like working with kids. It's like, look at the birdie, look at the birdie. Here we go, here we go. Call the weather. Okay, now you love yourself. And I'll show you how and why. Okay? It's so important. This isn't false. It's not, that fake positivity crap. It's not about that. You can love yourself and go, shit, I made a mistake. And leave it at that. I goofed. Okay. Literally everybody's talking about gentle parenting, which is a beautiful process. But if we don't do that to ourselves and our inner children, we perpetuate the trauma. When you beat yourself up, when you're like, dummy, 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 oh, I shouldn't have said that, or gosh, I'm always falling short, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. Let this full moon release that. And are you going to get it all in one full moon? No, you're not. You're not. It's impossible. It's a lifetime's job. We do it. We stay conscious. Being woke or being awake is the first step. We wake up every single day, and then we have decisions. We can act robotically. I get up, I go to the bathroom, I have my coffee, I get in the car, I go to work. And then I sit in my office, I do the same blah, 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 blah. And then I get in my car, I sit in traffic, I flip people off, and I go home. I yell at people in my house. I watch some TV, ha 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 ha, with a laugh track. Okay, that's one way of living. It's not very intentional. It's very robotic. There's nothing wrong with it if that's your path. Okay, I, for one, like living a little bit more differently and always have. And no, I haven't always had, like, I still don't have a ton of money. Why? Because I honestly don't care a whole lot about that side of it. I care that I have enough. I care that I have a good life, you know? I care that I can help people. I care that I can do a good job in the world. Okay? Have enough. You got to know what your enough is, you know? And sometimes I haven't had enough, and I had to figure out how to get enough. But the one thing I won't do is traffic. Oof. I love to drive, but not in traffic. So we can do that. We can do that. We can live robotically, or we can live intentionally. And that takes time and practice. And you know what? It's hard to wake up, because when you wake up and you see reality, it can be like, oh, scary. It can be really scary. You'd be like, oh my God, these people are doing these things, and this is happening, and this is happening. And you'll want to be like, okay, that's it. I'm going back to bed. Right? But when you learn to love yourself and see your value and understand you're not too small, you're not too little, you're not meant to do it alone, you're not here to be the chosen one, you're not here to rescue everyone. It's not your job to rescue anyone. It's your job to deal with you. And once you learn to like yourself just a teensy bit more, it doesn't have to be a whole lot, just a teensy bit more, and you can gather with like-hearted, more than like-minded. We've been trained like-minded, groupthink. It's not it. Like-hearted. And when you can come together with just a couple people and do something small, it makes ripples. And if enough people do that, it makes big ripples. And those ripples become waves, okay? And it starts here. That's why change begins within. You want patriarchy to go down? You got to take it out of you. You want white supremacy to go away? You got to take it out of you. You want misogyny to go away? Take it out of you. And when you realize more and more, and it takes time, and I am 52 years old. I will be 53 in July. I still find these things to remove because it's insidious. It's been not 200 years. It hasn't been 400 years. It hasn't been 1,000 years. It's been multiple millennia. And built and built and built and built and built. We can blame a whole bunch of people, but it's very, very old. And so, and you're not going to get all of it, even if we're healing family patterns. Okay, some of us, that's been part of our purpose, right? To heal the maternal or the paternal line. You're not going to get all of it. You're going to do some of it. But it goes so far back, and it's okay. It's not your job to do it all. You can break a significant amount. Stop putting all the weight of the world on your shoulders. That's how they want you to feel. You do not need to be a martyr. That teaching is based on oppression and control. You don't need to be a martyr. You don't need to sacrifice yourself. You don't. You need to love yourself. Love yourself. And what is love? Love is just this loaded, shitty word because none of us know what it is. None of us have actually been adequately held and truly appreciated and loved. Okay, so we use that word. The best synonym I have for love is acceptance. To accept yourself. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. Okay? When I accept myself, I have less need of judgment to you. When I find satisfaction in myself, that's right, say it with me. I am enough. I am enough. Say it with me, write it in the chat. I am enough. And when you feel like enough, there's no reason to look outside for people to say, you've made the grade. Yeah, you are enough. You are enough. You are enough. Yes, you are precious. You are a slice of divine creation. You are at one time an individual. You are so big. You have no idea. You are so big. If you weren't powerful, why would they want to oppress you? If you weren't powerful, why would they want to subdue you? If you weren't precious, why would you be told you are unworthy? So the most radical thing you can do is love yourself. Accept yourself. Know you are enough. And then there's no need to look for that validation from other. Did I make the grade? Did I do enough today to prove my worth? Our value doesn't come from what we produce. Our value comes from being ourselves. Right? Yeah. When we can feel our value and know the preciousness of every particle of stardust, each nuanced, tiny particle that is vibrating. Do you know that particles from opposite ends of the planet can move in sync? That is what we are made of. That is what you are made of. Yes? Yeah. You're organized as particles in your own individual way, but all those particles are connected in a universal way. Yeah. Which makes you precious. You are an individual, completely unique unto you, having your own individual experience, and yet you are connected to the all that is. And fear and shame and guilt and blame is used to put a buffer for your knowing of that connection. So when you know you're enough, when you know how big you are, sometimes you're so big you can't even fit into your whole body. Yeah? That's why sometimes people walk around like meat puppets, right? It goes for everyone. 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 The reason why people behave in egregious ways is a lack of connection, a lack of understanding, and a lack of understanding their actual power. It comes from insecurity. It comes from weakness. And they are not our job. They are their own job. Our job is to know us. Their job is to know them. Their pathway, their end point is not our business. This idea of judgment of where people end up when they go on to the next stage, that is also coercion and control. That is not our job. Now, as individual humans, we may have our preferences and not prefer certain people and not like them. And that's okay without judgment. It's okay. But we are all made regardless of the shape and form we take, whether it is a rock, whether it is the lamp behind me, or the candle burning, or the plant, or the chair, or my body, or your body, or that other person you don't like's body. We are made of particles. And they are organized in their own individual way, having their own individual experiences. We have never come here to be the same. We have never come here to be in a hive mind. Why would we? For what purpose would we come to be all the same? We come for the grit. We come for the flaws. We come for the physicality. We come for the unique differences. We come for the diversity. And learning, it doesn't have to be, however, it does not have to be as intensely ugly. We can raise the consciousness enough to decide that if donuts are out of stock, that is our crisis for the day. Right? We don't have to hate one another, but we can be angry. There's nothing wrong with any emotion. Because if it's authentic, then it's real. Yeah. But if we want change, you cannot ask someone else to change for you. You must change inside. If you want change in the world, and you want to have this elusive thing, you have to find it here. And then you join with others, right? And then you make progress, yes? And then you outgrow those others and you go to another group of others. And those people may outgrow you. And that is how things change and spread and evolve. We are not designed to be static beings. And those that are gripping on to unuseful thoughts, less productive, less effective thoughts, not you, but those that would be oppressors, are causing a giant bowstring to be pulled back to propel to a next stage of understanding. Sometimes it takes a crisis to cause change. Sometimes things have to become bad enough for us to determine things must be rectified. If it's only a little uncomfortable, if the feet are not in the fire, then we don't make change, right? Then we don't make change. So when we see squares and oppositions in an astrology chart, these are creative aspects. They are uncomfortable, but we don't change when it's comfortable. We don't make changes in ourselves. We don't seek higher understanding. We don't seek to love. If we feel horrible about ourselves, what do we want? We want to feel good about ourselves. If we feel small, we want to, 1111, thank you. If we feel weak inside, we want to feel strong. But we've been trained, so many of us, to look for someone else to be strong on our behalf. You are stronger than you know. Strength is not just in a bicep or a tricep. Strength can come here. And it comes from understanding your value. Yeah? It comes from understanding your value. And you are more precious than you know. And with this beautiful full moon, this eclipse, it can unlock chains that have bound you and those you come from, if you allow it. If you can tune just a bit more. Tune just a bit more. Yeah? Tune just a bit more into accepting yourself. Just that more. shining light on your value instead of luxuriating in guilt and shame. Yeah. Finding ways to take action that suit you and your path. And everyone has a different path. Not everyone has the same path. Right? People want everyone to be the same. Why? Homogeny is boring. Conformity. Ugh, boring. It's not safe to be homogenous. It's the death knell of a species. Diversity moves things forward. Love the differences in you. Love what makes you different. Accept it. Luxuriate in it. All those things. A lot of times, the very things that people make fun of us for are our greatest strengths. Our greatest strengths. Maybe you're a little weird. Maybe you're a little quirky. That's exactly what you need right now. Right? It's exactly what you need to be. We need to be innovative. We need to be more than aware. We need to be equipped. We need to draw on our strengths. Stop looking at what you're not good at and focus on what you are good at. You want to ride this energy? You focus on what you're really good at. And even if that's only being a listening ear, my God, that's precious. Do you know how many people are always talking, and how few listen? Not listen with the intent to respond, but listening to hear. And you listen with this and with this. Maybe that's what you're good at. Maybe you're good at observing. But if you're really good at observing, look for the good in those and then tell them, because not everyone can see their own light. And it's not the reverse of what I said, where we don't need outside validation, but sometimes we need a reminder. Have you ever had a stranger come up and tell you something really lovely? Like, oh, that's a nice dress you're wearing. Or I just wanted you to know, I just wanted to let you know everything's going to be okay. I remember I was living in LA proper in 2016, and I was weighing and measuring some very difficult life decisions. I was upending the apple cart all over my life and becoming that woman who wanted her freedom. And as I was walking down Wilshire Boulevard and in mid-Wilshire, and it's very busy on a Friday night, this woman who was dressed very nicely walked up to me and she said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I just got prompted to tell you it's going to be okay. I don't know if that resonates or not. And I was like, it was perfect. Thank you. I've come to expect those kinds of things in my life because they've happened the whole of my life. Whether it was a stranger smiling at me while I contemplated some very dark thoughts when I was a young college kid, about 19 years old, and life was hard, or in my 40s, thinking about throwing everything I'd ever built to the wind and scrapping it all and starting over, which I did. And I got message after message, or crows. I once had 200 crows follow me everywhere I went. That was my Saturn return. There was no ignoring that. They would surround my house, and I didn't feed them. I didn't do anything. I just got surrounded by freaking crows. It was part of that weird time of my life. And they would follow me into downtown Portland and then follow me home. There was no ignoring it. And even today, when I was just contemplating the future, what the things I wanted to build, as I walked into the spa to get my facial, my friend Crow, just one, I don't need 200 to get the point anymore, just one, was sitting on top of the roof. And I said, fly away if my thoughts are off balance. And it stood there. Yeah, okay. Those are always available to you. They're not just available to me. You don't have to be special. You don't have to have Lots of training. You don't have to have any of that to have the signs and the signals. And even tonight, as you dream, you don't have to tap into the collective. You can program your dreams because Mars and Neptune are conjunct in Pisces, trining that moon. Program it. I will only dream of that which serves me in the most positive way. I only wish to receive information about things I can do something about. Especially if you're one who dreams. I used to be like that. I'd get dreams about situations and people I didn't know, and I couldn't fix it, and I couldn't help anybody, and these things would come true. And this was when I was like a late teenager, early 20s, and it freaked me out because some of the stuff was really bad. And I finally learned to just, hey, I'm only going to dream about stuff I can do something about. And you can do that. You just tell yourself before you go to bed. That's it. Give the universe marching orders. You're the one in a physical body. You're the one who has the power. You're the one who has the power, or they wouldn't. And I'm talking about even in the government. Why do you think there's these people trying to control what we do if we weren't powerful? You don't try to control things that aren't powerful. You ignore them. And it's okay to make them know why they should be afraid too. It's okay to exert your power. You don't have to do it in ruinous ways, but you also don't have to sit down and be nice either. There's nothing nice in spirituality. You don't have to be nice. Do you know what the word nice means? Now here we can tell it's a Scorpio full moon, and my Scorpio rising is just like, ha ha ha. The word nice in the Middle Ages meant to be a prostitute. That's what nice meant. And there's nothing wrong with that as an occupation, but when people said be nice, it was not a compliment. So, you don't have to be nice to be spiritual. You don't have to do anything for anybody to be spiritual. You put your focus on yourself and work on your own self, and that's enough. Because if you could switch your consciousness, it still impacts the collective. You don't have to go out and save anybody. You don't have to go fix anybody. You don't have to go feed anybody. You don't have to lead anybody. You don't have to believe the same way as everybody else. I don't care what you fucking believe. I care that you know what you believe and why you believe it. But I don't care if it's different than what I believe. I will, if you ask me a question, I will give you the very best answer I have, right? I will give you the very best answer I have from all the vast amount of study I've done. But if you don't like that answer, that's okay. I don't want you to just take what I have to say as everything, except to know that you are valuable and precious. That I do insist that you believe. Because that's the most important thing. But other than that, depending like if it's supposed to work this way, or this person's cool, or this person's the best, or this belief system is, and this is how you run a ritual. Hell, do whatever works for you. I don't care. No skin off my nose, right? But I do care that you think, that not think, you are valuable, that you are precious, that you are worthy. Because when you know that, you cannot be controlled. When you know that, even if there's a physical limitation, they don't get this, and this is where the power is. I learned that a very, very long time ago. So, my dears, this is an incredible moment. Incredible. Fantabulous. It's beautiful. There's nothing to fear, because fear gets in the way of things. And it's okay to be afraid, but to live there depletes and diminishes you. And there's a big difference between being cautious and always being fearful. Because if you're fearful, you diminish yourself. And it actually even impacts your immune system, believe it or not. And I'm not saying don't, by the way, wear your freaking masks. Okay? Just wear your freaking masks. Okay? But this energy is beautifully designed to release blocks. Okay. And how do you release those blocks? Now, I did a couple videos on that, and you can go and watch those, and they're good for any time, not just this eclipse. But some of the best ways is to just breathe in, be intentional, feel into here. Feel if it's tight. Feel if there's a block in the throat. Maybe you were told you were too loud, or maybe you were just told to shut up a lot. Don't talk so much. When you talk too much. You know, how many times do we get told that? You talk too much. When you laughed too loud. Breathe into it and release it. And maybe there's some tears. There's no shame in tears. There's no shame. No shame. Now, I kind of want to go see if the moon is out. I'm not sure I'll be able to see it quite yet. I'll take you with me. Let's go look at the moon. Let's see. Try not to trip. Oop, head out on my porch. Nope, it's not up high enough yet. Not yet. Not yet, although this is my porch. I wish I could show you my plants. Not yet. I'll look at it later tonight. Too bad, too sad. Hang on. I'm gonna get back in my spot. It's very warm and very humid. Sorry, I gotta get the handle thingy on it. There we go. Not handle, but the, oops. There we go. There we go. Yeah. It was gorgeous. I love that. Yeah, I've heard it's been stormy. I've heard it's been stormy in certain places. I expected that. We have, with the Mars trine Neptune, or Mars conjunct Neptune trine the moon, it's going to be stormy weather in certain places. It's very humid here. Yvette. Observe it later. Yeah, because it's not quite up. It's not quite up. Oh, let me see here. There was some... No. Oh, that's a good idea, going to the Griffith Observatory. I would need somebody to come pick me up to do something like that. I'll have to ask one of the LA mods. But yeah, it is. I felt very buoyant before, just like a couple hours ago. I still do. I feel very buoyant. I feel bubbly energy inside of me. There's this excitement. It's very, very beautiful. It's a very beautiful feeling. It's a good time to allow things in as well, because remember, the full moon is a harvest, and it's a time to reap from those intentions. Yeah. 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 This full moon it's a great time to connect in to what makes you feel alive and vibrant, connected. That's what this is for. Yeah. Transmutative, transformational, alchemical. And there isn't one person who hasn't gone through a lot of things. Yeah. Everybody goes through something in life. Some horrifically. But everybody has something. And it doesn't define who you are. It's an experience. That adds character. Some of us have had more than enough character building exercises in life. But we can transmute the pain. We can transmute the rage. We can transmute the strong emotions that come up can be used versus scattered. Used to build, used to make, used to create, used to craft, used to generate, used to connect, instead of isolate and hide. It's a very powerful moon. It's a very powerful energy. Yes. And you can continue to have a lot of synchronicities. Being aware, being open, think about, when you have synchronicities happen, pay attention to your thoughts. Yeah. Everybody wants to assign power outside of themselves, and you are the ultimate power. You just have been taught not to be. Because people don't even understand power. They think power is about being big and strong and violent. That's not power. That's weakness. It's the ultimate weakness. Power is quiet. Power doesn't get jealous. Power doesn't need to compete. Power doesn't need to dominate. Weak humans do. Weak humans use violence to submit people against their will. And it's very hard to be forced into submission when you know your power. And that is why so much effort goes into training you to believe you do not have value if it is not assigned by X, Y, and Z. If you do not meet this standard. If you do not have this certain required criteria met. And yet we will go over and over and over and over looking for those important people to like us, to say we're okay, to tell us we're beautiful, to tell us we're productive, to tell us we're doing it right, while they drive us off a cliff. Jupiter in Aries is treating me beautifully because Jupiter in Aries is opposite my Jupiter-Uranus conjunction at 0 degrees Libra. So it's a wild time. I love it. It's a great transit. I think that's like one of my favorite things about my chart is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction at 0 Libra. Rebel, rebel. Right? It's not about lessons. Everybody thinks life is about lessons. The universe doesn't send us lessons. We're not really here to learn a whole lot. We're here to have experiences. It's not about getting it right. It's not about doing it wrong. You're not here for a punishment, and you're not here for a reward. You're here for experiences. Very few people have stable lives. Very few people do. There is a term called terminally unique, where people who have gone through traumas believe that theirs is, the absolute worst. And you know what? It is to you, because perceptions are unique and individual, and it's not about comparative, yeah? But when we do discover that life is about experiences, that it's less about all the things we've been told, like lessons and punishments and rewards and, oh, your life sucks because you were shitty in a past life. That's bullshit. It's just plain old bullshit. That's a blame the victim mentality is what it is. And even those of us, like I bought into it too when I was a young metaphysical student, because I had suffered so much trauma. I was looking for a reason, and it was easier to blame myself and say I must have been really bad at one point to deserve such horrible things to happen to me. And I'm not saying I didn't have lives where I wasn't necessarily the most pleasant person. Of course not. Those were the only past lives I could recall, because that's what I was looking for. Until I could lose that line of thinking, I couldn't recall anything else. But we are not here because of that. We are not here to be in this loop of suffering. We're here for a range of experiences, and we may have what is apparently negative happen. It appears to be negative, and it leads to other things. Of course, we don't need that trauma to be compassionate. We really don't. We come in quite compassionate, thank you. And trauma doesn't always create compassion or empathy. It can create the opposite in some people. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the vast amount of injustice that goes on in this world. Don't limit yourselves. Don't believe you're too small. Don't believe you're too weak. This eclipse is a way to break chains. Generational chains, societal chains, cultural chains. Feel into it. What would it be like to liberate yourself from your cultural and social conditioning that says you are less? What would that feel like to know that you don't have to tone it down? That you're exactly who you came here to be, and the experiences you've had were experiences, not value judgments against you. That's what this moon is about. Transmute those thoughts into power. Transmute those thoughts into power. And power isn't about being in anybody else's business. It's about being in your own. Stand in your own lane. You're not here to rescue anybody. You're not here to fix anybody. You're here to focus on you. And that's not a selfish thing. It's not a selfish thing to worry about what you're doing. Okay? It's putting the attention on your intentions. Okay, energy flows where our focus is, okay? So energy goes where attention flows. Or backwards, okay? But it does. Energy flows where our attention goes. And if you're always focusing on what everybody else is doing, you're not worried about here. Worry about you. And then you align and you meet people you can work with. And that doesn't mean we don't take action in the world. It doesn't mean we just sit on our asses. But it also means that you have to be more deliberate and less knee-jerky. You know, the knee-jerk reactions don't solve anything. So, yeah. What does Benjamin say? Yeah. Yeah. So, my dears, enjoy. There's nothing wrong. Not really. Maybe everything's just the way it needs to be in order to get to the next step. And sometimes eggs get broken for omelets. Doesn't mean it's pleasant to watch. It doesn't mean it feels good sometimes. But sometimes we need these fomenting times to go to the next space. So, much love, guys. I got to write horoscopes and record part of the podcast. Although, if you're a patron, join me tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Pacific for behind the scenes. Because I give you the special 411. right? We'll be talking about Mars as it gets ready to approach Aries. It's going to be moving into Aries on the 24th. And that's something we all need to be ready for. All right. Much love. Bye-bye.